Welcome back to math. Today we're talking about Module 2, Lesson 10 and 11. We're going to be talking about multiplying tenths and multiplying hundredths. Now if you notice, what is so unusual about these words? Well, we have a THS on the end of both of them. What does that mean? Well, I can show you. I'm going to use another color. What would be a tenth? A tenth would mean that we have one place behind the decimal. We have one place behind the decimal. So a tenth would be 0.1. That would be 1/10, right? And if we had a hundredth means two places behind the decimal. Okay? So if I was going to use the same number here, I could write this out as 0.01. Now if you notice, I have what? One place behind the decimal, and that would be called what? What would you call that?
Tenths.
A tenth. And if I have this one right here, how many places are behind the decimal? Two. And we would call that a hundredth. So let's go ahead and let's give this kind of a try here. We have 2.4. We usually say that, pardon me, as 2. And what is the decimal point? What word do we use for that? And then we'd say 4/10. That's the way we would say this. So everybody, 2 and 4/10. Now we can also say this, if we removed the decimal, we could say we have 24/10. And I think we had that last module, if you recall. So we have 24/10. Now, 24/10, I have my 24. And when I'm saying tenths, how many places are behind the decimal? How many places are behind the decimal? One. So if you notice, I could highlight my one thing, and I could put my decimal point right in front of it. And 24/10 is actually 2 and 4/10. Okay? Does that help? I hope so. I'm going to scooch down here for a second, just so that I could talk about hundredths. And then we'll do a little practice, okay? How would I go about saying this number? 2 and 37 hundredths. So our word hundredths means what? We're going to have two places behind the decimal, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Remember from our place value chart, two places in back? So I could say 237 hundredths. Where would I put my decimal on 237 hundredths? I would put it in between the 2 and the 3, because here's my hundredths part, right? So my decimal would go there. Does everybody understand that concept?
Yes.
So for the tenths, I have one place in back of the decimal, right? And on hundredths, I have two places in back of the decimal. Okay? So let's do a little practice and see how we can do, okay? So I'm going to, I actually thought about putting this. Let's say I've got 32/10. How would I write that as a decimal? 32/10. Well, I could write 32, right? And tenths tells me what? There's one place behind the decimal. Here's our one place. So we put the decimal right in front of it, just like that. Okay? I'll give you another one. Ready? Let's say I had 89 tenths. How would I write that as a decimal? How would I write that as a decimal?
8.9.
It'd be 8.9, but I'd say, okay, I have one place that's behind the decimal, which is a 9 in this case, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to put my decimal in front of it. All right, let me do another one. How about if I have 237 tenths? Okay, so how many places do I have in tenths behind the decimal? One. So I could highlight my 7 and the decimal goes in front of it, doesn't it? So it's actually 23 and everybody, 23 and 7 tenths. So do you see how this works? Is that easy to do? I hope it's less confusing for you. Let's go down to the hundredths, okay? And here's, let me give you a new number. And I'm going to use a new color. Let's use 3, 2, 1, 0. And this is going to be in hundredths. I'm just going to abbreviate that. Is that okay? Okay. So how would I write this out as a decimal? 3, 2, 1, 0. Someone tell me, how would I write, where would I put the decimal point?
In front of the 1.
Why?
Because it says hundreds.
Because I have two, you should be saying, I have two places behind the decimal, so that means our decimal is going to go in front of the 1. Right? Let's do another one. Let's do 1, 0, 0, 7, 0. Ooh, let's get rid of that last 0. Yeah, I like it. And we're talking about hundredths, right? I'm just abbreviating that. So here's my number. Where's my decimal gonna go? Where's my decimal gonna go? Any thoughts?
Between the 1 and the 0.
Okay, if he said it's between the 1 and the 0, is he correct?
No.
Why not?
Because it's
Because that makes 3 places behind the decimal, huh? And is hundredths is how many places behind the decimal?
2.
Ah, 2 places behind the decimal. So that means these are my 2 places and the decimal goes in front of it, right? So it's 10, say it in words, 10 and 10 and 7 hundredths. Very good, you guys. Okay? Let me give you one more. Let's say I had a problem like 3, 2, 1, 0 hundredths times 22. How can I write that out? Well, it wouldn't be very hard to write out because I could write it out as my standard algorithm, right? Okay. I hope I can fit it all here. I always write that a little too far to the right. Let's check it out. How do we do this problem? How do we doing it? Go ahead. 2 times 0 is 0.
And 2 times 1.
2 times this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, is?
Is 1, 2.
2.
And 2 times 2 is
And it's this 2, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is 4.
Nice.
Then 2 times 3 is 6.
Okay.
Placeholder.
Placeholder. Why? Because we're going into the tens place, and there is a 0 in the tens place normally, right? Because this 2 things, sorry to go a little sidetracked on you here, this is really what we have is 20 plus 2, right? Right here. So, because there's a 0 here, that's why we have a 0 here, so that we keep our place value. All right, sorry, go ahead.
2 times 0 is 0.
Nice.
And 2 times 1 is 2.
Yeah, because we're doing this 2 times this one, right?
Yeah. Then 2 times 2
Yeah, these two, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
is 4.
Yes.
Then 2 times 3 is 6.
This 2 and this 3, right?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. What do we do now?
0 plus
We add them together, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
0 plus 0, 0.
0 plus 0 is 0.
And 2,
2.
6,
6.
10.
10.
Then 7.
7. And what are we multiplying with?
Hundredths.
Hundredths, right? So how many places are in back of the decimal?
2.
2. So here's my 2 places, right? And my decimal would go in front of the 2. So, can someone tell me what this is in words? 706 and 20 hundredths. Right. Does that make sense? Now, is that a lot easier to multiply this without your decimal? Is it easier?
Yes.
It's not, it doesn't freak you out, does it?
Nope.
But when I put that decimal in there, it just bothers you, doesn't it?
Yep.
So, that's the way you can do your multiplication problems using decimals like hundredths or tenths. Okay? So, if you don't get this, feel free to watch it again. You can pause it, take notes, and keep trying, okay? You will get it. It will make sense. I love math.